Caw. Two men. One named Rich. That's me.
This is Jermaine. Just got off the toilet.
He's a foul man. This is the XnO's of life.
Huh?
How'd you like the intro?
That was interesting.
Yeah, we're children. We are children.
I'll fit right in.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's good. Fart jokes and, all that fun stuff. So, this is Dr. Chuck. He has a doctorate in banging your mom. That's what he told me. I believe him. He has a trusting face. So this is a fellow off Twitter, and a lot of folks probably know of him. If not, you'll learn pretty quick. He is a very passionate fella. He likes to stir the pot. He's very good at it. It's in his skill set. But the reason we're here is we kind of just came across, when they announced, Josh Gibson having his stats recognized as, in the actual whole, I don't know, stat book, for lack of a better term. And we got to talking. And I realized that this guy isn't just a big silly pants. He actually has all the smarts here, too. So he started dropping knowledge about historical implications in sports and things like that. So I was very inclined to get you on here and start talking. So start talking. I'm going to sit back and do nothing. And that's how this goes. Have fun.
Gotcha. So yeah, the thing that I think surprised me the most about this conversation is, and maybe it's just because I'm really big into sports. Like that's one of my, it's one of the areas that I like to do. So, it was in 2020, like the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues, that it was announced that MLB was going to elevate the actual Negro Leagues, not like their barnstorming and whatnot, but Negro League games. They're going to incorporate that into their stats. But first they had to vet all these stats and find the verification. So I knew this was happening. But then when it happened, just 3 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, a lot of people were in an uproar, and I'm like, so I think that was the first thing that really surprised me, because but we knew this was coming. Like, why are we upset now? And then I think the other thing that struck me is, again, being a sports guy, and well, actually, I guess I should give a little of my background. I got my bachelor's in history at the University of North Carolina, and being that I wanted to go to law school, I decided that the best way to do that was get the best grades I could. So I found all these sports history classes. So it's it's not exactly I think what people would think sports history is. It's not like I'm memorizing the stat lists, like the top 10 touchdown recipients or whatever. It wasn't anything like that. It was looking at American history and world history, a couple of the classes, through the lens of sports. And so I took a class called Baseball and American History. And one of the things I learned there is there's already, I think it's 4 leagues that are recognized as major leagues. It was well, I guess 6 if you're including the National League and the American League. But the 2 that aren't actually Major League Baseball today, there was the American Association, the Union Association, the Players League, and the Federal League. And no one's complaining about those stats being included in Major League Baseball. And they have been since, I can't remember the year, but it was before I was born. So it's been a while. But yeah, no one was complaining about that. They were only complaining about the Negro Leagues, which I found interesting. No one explicitly said it's because these guys are black, but it just seems like that's what it is.
Looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, probably a duck. And we came to that
agreed.
we came to the same conclusion, before we even started recording. But even before that, we're like, I wonder why people are saying something now. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a cool thing. No, I was going to say, I think it's a cool thing, man. I think, because you'll have the people that will bring up, well, it was a different league. Baseball is baseball. It's baseball. Now you'll have the same people. Why don't minor league, stats count? I wouldn't consider that a professional league. You know, it's a lower skilled league. I mean, you look at these players that have notoriety from the Negro leagues, and that they're like some of the goats of baseball. How do you
Oh, for
just
sure.
ignore
I mean,
that? Like, how do you just ignore that and say that's okay?
I mean, you look at guys like Sastral Page, who actually got a chance to play, and he played as an older guy and was still pretty dominant in Major League Baseball. And I think that's one of the things that Major League Baseball kind of got right. Like, one of the reasons they didn't include the Negro League stats earlier was that they played a pretty shortened season. Like when I was reading about it back in 2020, they were saying it was the shortened season of 2020 that really got them thinking, and the fact that it was the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues got them thinking, like, wait a minute, if we're going to have a season so short, maybe we can include these stats. So it's actually, they're only including the Negro League games themselves. So it was like roughly a 60-game season, give or take. And that's all they're including. They're not including all the barnstorming. So, like, yeah, Josh Gibson, if you included every home run he ever hit, he would surpass Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
But they're not included. Like, I think it's 166. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he only has like officially 166 home runs in the book. But he hit way more than that. And part of the reason when they were barnstorming, it was like, you know, back in the day, everybody's local, like, you know, sawmill or, you know, coal mine or whatever the industry in town was, had a baseball team. And so these guys would come in and they'd be like, let's play, you know, you guys that are basically high school level players, and we're just going to beat the crap out of you. And yeah, so those stats shouldn't count because it is against guys like me, you know what I mean? Like average at best athletes. But yeah, like the Negro League games, like these were really good players, and they were, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Their opportunity to play baseball in the major leagues was stolen from them, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, because of stupid bias, and it's, I don't know, it's just why, like, you look at teams now, right? And it's funny. There's still not a lot of black folks in the league. It's not like it's generally a Dominican and a Mexican league, sprinkled in with a few other folks, and there you go. But it's funny because no one complains about that. I don't know. It just seems like, not that they should, but it feels like the same people that would go around saying boy, or saying, you know, these Spanish folks are taking my jobs, are fully okay with that same Spanish speaking person hitting cleanup on their baseball team now. Seems a little just convenient.
Yeah, I mean, not to get too broad and think, but like entertainment in general is something that like other folks, for lack of a better term, it have been like, you know, it's okay if you sing or you dance or you play sports. It's okay to be successful in that. But it's, you know, it's when they have other jobs that people have been threatened. Essentially,
Don't eat in the same restaurant as me. No, entertain me, dance.
right?
Like, oh, God. Yay, we're progressing. It's great, America.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's crazy how some of these folks, and you know what, even in that, like, not so much baseball, but like, particularly if you look at football, the way that people talk about certain athletes, and you know, they talk about them in different ways depending on who they are. Basketball is actually another good one. I was thinking about this recently because of the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese thing in the WNBA now. This isn't quite a perfect match because like when Bird and Magic Johnson came out of college, they already had a rivalry going on, and they were essentially the same player, though, is the crazy thing about them. Like they're both like 6'9". They both play a similar style of basketball, but you know, Bird went to Boston, and Boston was seen as like traditional, and then, you know, Johnson went to the Lakers, and they were seen as like flashier. And it was like kind of like it turned into like kind of racialized terms, if you will. Like, again, people don't necessarily explicitly say, well, this is white basketball and this is black basketball, but that's kind of what the narrative was being pushed. And they tried to make them sound like they were different, but they were really very similar players. And you see a lot of that in the NFL too. You know, guys that would be kind of similar will be described completely differently. You know, like a black guy's athletic, a white guy's gritty.
Good God, I hate it. You're right. Yeah, that is right. That's Jesus. Think it's ever going to change, man? Like, I know it's like a super, elephant in
I
the
mean,
room question, but
I think it changes. It just changes over time, and I think, you know, on one degree, there might always be again, to get kind of broaden it out. Like, if you take sports in any historical era, you can kind of like the people that were dominant, if you will, were kind of your group that was being othered at the time. That's why, like, really early boxing, like late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of those folks were like Irish Americans. Because and I hate to make that comparison, being an Irish American myself, just because like a lot of people abuse that and be like, oh, the Irish had it rough too. Yeah, the Irish did have it rough, but the Irish weren't, chattel slaves. Their children weren't born into chattel slavery just because they themselves were chattel slaves. So I mean, I'm not trying to underscore what my ancestors went through, or other Irish Americans' ancestors went through, but it's also not exactly the same. But yeah,
right.
like early boxing, like John L. Sullivan, like that dude was Irish, and it's a lot of your marginalized groups. That's why I think you see a lot of like Hispanic folks in baseball today. I mean, one, it's become more of a world sport, and that has a lot to do with it. But also look at who's marginalized in the U.S. today. And I mean black folks still, but black folks dominate a lot of other sports like basketball and football, which is I think where, and I'm not sure what that's all about. I mean, I'm sure I could, if I wanted to get my PhD, I'm sure I could research that and make some kind of argument about it. But I'm not versed enough to do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, everyone can speculate and things like that, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, one thing I have noticed, and it is kind of actually pretty funny, there are generally white positions and black positions in football. It's very interesting. Like, I mean, I know we had a black punter, but let's be honest, he couldn't actually punt. He was, yeah. Anyway, but what was he? Marquez King, I think, for the Raiders.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. Is that right? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody else but. Yeah, I think
I'll date myself here. I remember Reggie Roby for the Dolphins, but that was quite a while ago. That was like the 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's very few and far between.
I saw something actually on Twitter, and it was oh, I think it was oh God, who was it? It was Devin Bush, I think. He put up something saying they should have an all-white versus an all-black team. And everyone just, no, I'm sorry, it was Mendenhall. It was Mendenhall.
Yep. No, yeah, I remember that now.
And we're just like, that's going to be really unfortunate because there's not going to be anyone blocking for the black quarterback. Sorry. You need those Nebraska boys in there that are about 4 bills, 6'13". That's just, I just thought that was a bit of a funny thing. And I'm wondering, I think generally speaking, and this can be construed any type of way, it always struck me as a very weird thing because I would say generally speaking, in those 3 sports that we mentioned, black folks are superior athletes in those sports. Now, I mean, hockey, us and the Russians and the Canadians got that locked down. We got this. Yes. But it's always struck me as this crazy bias thing, but you want those folks to entertain you and, just essentially dance for you. And they're doing, like, look at Justin Jefferson, man, doing the gritty all the time. Love it. You remember when Randy Moss mooned the goalpost and Joe Buck was like, this is the most terrible thing I've ever. Seriously, that's the worst thing you've seen. It makes me kind of think, not to say he has like some kind of underlying, racial thing, but what if that was like, I don't know. I mean, I know Adam Thielen. What Amendola was he playing at that point? I don't know. Let's just say it was Amendola. You think he would have said the same thing? I don't know.
Probably not. And I think that's one of the big things too, is we all have implicit biases. Like every single one of us, doesn't matter who you are. They might not all be the same. They're all probably pretty similar because we grow up watching the same movies and watching the same TV shows and being taught the same lessons from the same lesson plans.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them are similar. Like, I mean, you can make an argument that there's black folks in this country today who have implicit biases that negative, paint other black folks in a negative light. And a lot of that, like, I mean, I look at the movies when I was growing. Again, I'm a little bit older, so, but I remember like in the '80s, like, there were black actors, but like the roles they got were typically like bad guys. I mean, there wasn't a lot of like action stars. There's a few. I mean, I can't say there was none, but there weren't many. It was all like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Chuck Norris, guys like that. Those were the stars, right? Those were the good guys. So it wasn't that there wasn't roles for black folks. It just so things have certainly come a long way, but I mean, they still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I just wish generally we would just change as a people and appreciate everyone to just. I don't know. It always blows my mind when I see stuff like this, because it's like, why are we still doing this, man? Like, they're once again, we've already touched this. They're good enough for you to pay money to watch and to entertain you and to make money on your bets, but they're not good enough to conversate with or be in the same general vicinity as you. Okay. Good. Anyway, let's go on to different history, because this is fucking depressing.
Sure. What's up?
No, you're
about?
the history fella. Let's shoot out a thing so we can be happy again.
All right, so well, I don't know if this is happy history, but this was something I was thinking about leading up to this, like Pittsburgh connections, right? So Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion. He
Can I tell you, I
eventually
literally thought about the defenseman. I'm like, he was terrible. Then I realized who you were talking about.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. No, different Jack Johnson. Much more athletically gifted.
Yes.
Anyway, so he ended up being convicted under the Mann Act, and he had to serve, I think, a year in prison or whatever.
What is that?
So the Mann Act was like taking like women across state lines for purposes of prostitution. I think it involved other offenses as well, but that was like the main one. And they ended up. Well, here's the thing. He married a girl from Pittsburgh, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Well, back in the day, like boxers and prostitutes hung out a lot. Like that was kind of like when he was first, like boxing was still kind of illegal. In fact, his big most famous fight was July 4th, 1910, I want to say. And they had to build a stadium essentially out in the middle of nowhere, because like if they did it in a town, everyone would have been arrested.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so like boxing was still kind of like well, I guess it's still seedy today, but even more seedy than it is today. And so they hung out prostitutes a lot. So anyway, he married one, and well, that's who the government charged him with. She was going across straight lines because that's her husband, right? But that's the Pittsburgh connection, is like she was from Pittsburgh. He married a girl from Pittsburgh and ended up being convicted later.
Wow.
Of taking her across state lines because she had happened to be a prostitute before they got married.
Oh God. That's gross.
So yeah, that's probably not happy, but that was just another interesting.
It's not as terrible, but still has that underlying thing. Really, we could chat about this a little bit. What are your thoughts on, and this is going to pivot from like the historical part about it, but what are your thoughts about this Pirates team right now?
Oh man, I don't know what to think. Like, one, they're not as far off as the people who like that. God, I get all the time. Like, why do you waste your money on that team? You're just giving Bob Nutting money. Well, one, like it actually has nothing to do with Bob Nutting. It's all about like, these are good memories from when I was a kid. And I take my
Right.
kids out to the game to pass on those memories, regardless of the product on the field. Like
Yeah,
it was
I
still,
took my kid out there on Saturday actually, and then I saw you post, and I was like, oh shit, I should have met up with you there.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll have other opportunities. I'm out there all the time. But yeah. So like that's one of the things. And then the other thing is like this team actually isn't as bad as those folks seem to make it out to be. Now it's not great. I mean, they're only like 2 games out of a playoff spot right now. So like there is a chance. I don't know how realistic it is. It kind of depends. I think the bullpen. Well, I don't know. Some of those guys will get healthy. Maybe it'll get better. But the bullpen's been pretty awful, and like they need probably at least one other bat.
Well, I feel like
At least
doing bullpen games are not helping the bullpen, especially when that bullpen game is right before Skeens and Jones, because it basically allows that to be taxed. And then you're like, oh, well, hopefully you can pitch 8 innings and fat ass doesn't blow it in the 9th. Hopefully, that's kind of what you're left with. I'm glad that they didn't call today a bullpen game. One thing I don't really understand why we haven't done this. Just get an arm up from AAA. Just get an arm. It doesn't matter. A literal arm would be fine. Send Jack down because sweet baby Jesus, that guy is horrendous. Just get an arm. I don't care if it's the Ashcraft. I don't care if it's literally the athletic trainer. Get someone up there so you don't burn your bullpen, because it seems like it's a kind of a snake eating its own tail. This used to be a little fun thing that the Rays did. And now it is not across the board, but a lot of teams are doing it. And it's like, this isn't as productive as you think. Like, it's okay to do this occasionally when you need to, whenever someone is maybe the rotation's a little goofy, an injury happened, whatever. But if you're doing that as a regular, that it has residual effects. I fully agree that we need a few bats. I think we need a left-handed platoon outfielder. I think that as much as people are okay with Rowdy right now, Rowdy is still awful. He has 3 home runs right now, correct?
Yeah.
It's almost July.
And he should be a power guy.
Did not pick you up to hit 220 with 3 home runs and 20 ribbies? And you were batting cleanup for the long. Come on, man. So, no, I don't think we're far off, but I think that there needs to be about 60, 70 extra million spent in the offseason to get at least another bullpen arm. I would say go after either like Crochet and, for the White Sox, because I would love to have a power throwing lefty in that rotation. And get a power bat. Like, if you go get Alonso, do it. Spend the money. Like, what is honestly going to happen? I don't. What's the problem with that? Please make me understand this, because I don't. Andy will come back next year. He'll be the catcher. They'll shoot Grandal off into whatever deep space. I like Grandal though, but whatever, it's fine. Hayes is overrated. He's the ground ball king. It's good to see Reynolds actually earn his contract. But yeah, there's a lot of holes that could be fixed, but I have been watching. I'm 38. I've been watching baseball since, oh God, probably like 31, 32 years. So I've known nothing but pain. And you just see what this team does. And when they actually did spend money, you made the playoffs. It's funny how that works. But Pirates Twitter is always very, 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 very funny, because it is like the overreaction. It's almost like political in a way, and it's hilarious to me because it's so divisive.
Yeah, you got the guys that like the Pirates can almost do no wrong. And then you got the other guys where the Pirates can do no right. And there's like, not a lot of room in the middle.
Right.
But yeah, like, oh man, I've been watching baseball so long. So this is going back to like Twitter. This was an interesting thing. Somebody had posted. Oh man, I think it was a Miami Dolphins fan actually had posted something about like her first game or whatever, and somebody was like, "You didn't save the ticket stub to your first game," and I was like, "I literally couldn't. I've been going to baseball games so long, like longer than I can remember. You know, like my uncles were taking me like, you know, I don't know if I was in diapers, but I probably wasn't out of them very long. And so like, there's no way I have the ticket stub to my first game because it was like literally longer than my memory is.
Right. Like, what are you going to do with that? I mean, it's nice and nostalgic. I mean, I feel like that's interesting if you don't ever go to games, but if you are a all the time fan, it's like, dude, that's gonna, I don't know. We're not like 12 or 13 or 14. It's like, I don't know. That's somewhere. Let me save the digital pay or the digital ticket stub. There we go.
Yeah. I guess in theory, I have it because if you got the ballpark app, you can go back and look and see. Oh, I went to that game, but
right.
That's pretty. I think I'm up to 24 of the 30 teams now since I've been on the ballpark app. I don't know. I probably saw again. I've been going to baseball games so long. I've probably seen teams that I can't remember seeing. But
what's your best memory from a game?
Oh man, probably that Carlos Santana walk off. That like they were
Really?
down. I can't remember the score. Oh man, it was just like being there was like awesome. It was like the greatest moment that I'd ever personally been at.
Yeah.
Right. Like I mean, there was a lot of good memories in the early '90s. You know, with Bonds and Bonilla. You know, Killer Bees. But like being in the ballpark, that one where Carlos Santana hit it in the river, that one was pretty crazy. Like it was awesome.
I was there for the Makoviak game, so that was fun. I don't remember.
We were also there. People were talking. So the Pirates posted. So my son got a chance. We were at Pirates Fest, and he got a chance to meet Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds like popped out from behind the curtain and surprised him. It was pretty cool. But so they asked him what his favorite memory was, and well, Brian Reynolds is his favorite player. And he was saying, and I thought this was a pretty good one. We were there, like he hit the inside the park, and it was like just a couple feet in front. So we were out and left, and it hit like right in that notch. In such a way that it took like a really weird angle. And I mean, you almost feel bad for the outfielder because he wasn't in a bad position, but the ball just like took a crazy hop, right? And it's like, you know, how many, you know, that's the only time that I've ever seen. Well, besides like little league home runs, right? But that's the only time I've seen an inside the Parker. So that was like my son's favorite. And people were talking trash about that, but that was a pretty cool one too. Like again, how often you see that?
Thing, man. Like there's not a lot of like Niger Morgans on the team anymore, so it's not like and Reynolds is not like a speedster. He's not slow, but he's not batting leadoff. So no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about going out there. You see things that you don't necessarily see very often, and to see them in person, like it would have been cool to see that on TV. Because again, I can't even remember time seeing that on TV, to be honest with you. But to like be there, like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I went to Saturday's game, and yeah, obviously it was a Kutch bobblehead thing, and you know that had an atmosphere on its own. But there's just something to be said about just the energy when the team is winning. I know that sounds really dumb, but I went to Fenway for my birthday. It was a random Wednesday. They were playing the Giants, not even in the same, same league. It was packed, like sold out on a random cold Wednesday night. We could have that here. We should have that here. But I think a lot of people are not willing to spend the money or spend the time to go out and watch a team that will a lot of the time fall in their face.
Well, I'm gonna name one more of my pet peeves. I would go to more weekday game. I go to a few. I mainly go on the weekends. But since they moved the start time to 6:40, now listen, I get off at 4:00, so it's not even like I get off late, But unless I'm gonna leave straight from the office and then not take my family, like I've got to come home, and I don't even live that far from the office. I can get home 15, 20 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
like it's tough to make that 6:40 start. Like, I mean, I'm risking missing the first pitch. Like I missed the
Are
7:05
you
games.
are you the type of guy? Is the wife doesn't understand this because she's also not a sports person, but I can't. I need to be there like an hour early at least. I
Oh, for sure.
cannot show up even if I show up at 6:45, I'm gonna throw myself down the stairs. I can't. Like it. Like I used to actually be to the point where I would get there for batting practice for, the opposing team or what have you. It's just, when do you get to see that,
Oh yeah.
man? You get to see major leaguers literally home run derby. I don't know.
And we go out there pretty early, particularly on the weekends. One, like, I mean, I only got like the 21 game plan, but like since I'm a season ticket holder, I can get in a little bit earlier than everyone else, so we get to see batting practice. The kids love to go out there because they can usually, especially Summer, she can usually sucker some player on the other team, or before the game. Like she usually has a ball before the game even starts. She's already
Nice.
got a ball for the day. So they like going out there. So I like going out there for them. Yeah, and I mean, this is probably the veteran in me. Like, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late kind of deal. But like, I feel like if I'm on time, I feel like I'm behind. So I like to get out there significantly early. The only thing about getting out there like before the gates actually open is like you can't buy any food or anything at that point. You got to wait till the gates open to buy food. But it's still cool to go out there. So like on a hot day, you better bring your water in,
Right.
if you're going to catch batting practice. But
Yeah. I when I went there, because the boy's not a big sports fan, but he's leaving for college at in a few months, and wanted to kind of do something with him. And the last time he went to the game, he cared not. He probably, because he didn't really understand what was going on and didn't really care. I think he did a little bit of research before he went there because he wanted to do something with Pops. But he was engaged, and it was awesome. It's like, oh, cool. It's great that you care about this now and you're leaving. Nice. But
yeah, so mine, who's only a year behind yours, he's getting ready to be a senior, so he's not leaving yet. I got another year with him, but he was a big sports guy, but more like football.
Okay.
Was his thing. Like that's what he played. My 13-year-old, not so much. And Summer, she's not so much a sports fan. It's baseball. It's just all about baseball, and I think that's directly related. Like when we moved up here, we started coming to a lot of Pirates games, so she has a lot of good memories out of Pirates games, interacting with the players. But yeah, like she, I'm watching the Steelers or whatever, and she not interested at all, but she's into the Pirates. So I really appreciate that too.
Yeah,
In fact,
that's awesome.
Yeah, when we were talking about her playing or whatever, I asked her if she wanted to do softball or baseball. She said no, baseball. And she might. I mean, she's getting to an age she might start playing softball, but she still definitely wants to play baseball. Like she said maybe like if she could play softball in say like the fall, and then play baseball still in the spring, she'd be down with that.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
But baseball, that's her thing.
It's my one regret. The kiddos never really got into sports. We tried and didn't really latch on. Which hey, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I don't like the kids anyway, so that's fine. Good, just more reason, more ammo. Get out of the house. I'm gonna lock the doors. So what else do you do, man? So we got the sports thing. You got the historical thing. What else makes Chuck?
I mean, like, I have a law degree, so like the law is interesting, but that kind of relates to history a lot of times too. So, but yeah, and I used to.
What do you do?
Right now I'm a caseworker at the jail. I still have not. I took the bar last year, and here's the thing about. So they have this thing called the UBE, the Universal Bar Exam, and something like 40 states use the UBE now. There's a handful of states that still don't. But the way the UBE is each state sets its minimum passing score. So it's the same test. Everybody in all 40 whatever states are taking the same test. But like in Alabama, you can get like a 260 and you can pass. And PA, I want to say it's a 270, 271, something like that. It's a little bit higher now. So like we're in Alabama, I would be an attorney.
It's only 11 points, but what does that equate to?
I mean, it's pretty significant. Like, I mean, like 11 points. If you miss it by 11 points, you've got some work to do. It's not unattainable. It's not like if you miss it by 11 points, it's like there's no hope you're ever going to pass. but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna get like 3 more questions right and everything's gonna be okay.
Okay.
No, it's a pretty significant gap. So yeah, so I didn't make it in PA yet. So that's the goal. In fact, I should be taking it in February again. So hopefully it works out.
What's your end game there? What's your kind of plan?
Well, I was working for the public defender, but I ended up leaving there because my old boss became the supervisor of the caseworkers at the jail, and she kept sweating. I was actually already working in the jail. Like the public defender had an office like way down in the basement. It's a terrible place to go. Don't recommend it. But so I was already in the jail, and so I was eating lunch with her every day, and she kept saying, "You should apply to be a caseworker. You should apply to be a caseworker." And I was like, I'm not going to do this. Because I'm already where I want to be. Like, you know, once I pass the bar, then I'll just slide into an attorney position. Boom, done. But then I realized there was a significant pay increase, and once my wife realized there was a significant pay increase, there was not much discussion to be had.
There were conversations that happened. Yep, I got it. How long you been married?
Oh my goodness, what year is this? 2024, 16 years.
Yeah, nice. Where'd you get married?
Yeah, it's been a minute. When or
where? Like,
sorry, I missed the question.
We
got married in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. There was like a rose garden, so we got married down there. I did it kind of funny. So my wife and I had been dating for like 9 years before we got married, and I was in the Army at the time down in she was still in Raleigh. I was down in Fort Gordon because it was just like some training, and I had to come home on emergency leave. And it was like a Wednesday. I'm telling her like, oh, well, you know, Thursday night, tomorrow night, I'll be coming home. Do you want to go down to the courthouse on Friday? And she was like, sure. And so we did it. That's and then we did the ceremony or whatever, like for everybody.
Dude, we did the same thing.
The Rose Garden.
We did the same thing. We did. And she always considers the first one like the actual anniversary. I'm like, no, I don't count that, man. Like, we just did that for like, let's get this on paper, and then we'll go do the thing. And then we did the whole thing in Seven Springs, so we're still paying that shit off. You know, Pirates for life here. Let's see. What else you got for me? What are interesting tidbits you got here?
Here's one. And I'm just going to brag on this kid because I'm proud of him. So, like, I coached football for 7 or 8 years. It was a while. And okay. I coached this team called the Wake Forest Bulldogs. And they were a travel team. So it was a little more competitive than like your Parks and Rec or whatever. Anyway, one of the kids that played for me, he just committed to USF. So I'm like, I got to buy me a USF jersey, apparently.
There you go.
His name's Jaden Fry. Write that name down. I'm hoping he's a defensive end. So, or edge, I guess is what you would call him. But
that's got to be cool.
So I'm
man.
hoping
like, that's like molding. Like, you literally get to mold someone into a actual professional.
Like, yeah, I'm proud of it because like I think there was a point in time that he may have wanted to quit because he wasn't. In the league we were in, they had a weight limit, but you could play up. But they put like this green stripe on your helmet, so it was kind of embarrassing. Everybody knew you were overweight or whatever. You could only play between the tackles. So you could be like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. You could never the only way you'd ever carry the ball is if you like scooped up a fumble and started rumbling towards the end zone. But he was only like 2 pounds off or whatever. But like I think he felt self-conscious about it. And I was like, I feel weird saying that. I talked to his mom and I was like, I feel weird saying this because like you shouldn't tell a kid to lose weight. You know, they're just kids. And he wasn't like fat either. He was just a big guy. You know what I mean? And but I was like, if he can lose those 2 pounds, I'll put him in at fullback and I'll make sure he runs the ball. And he lost those 2 pounds and he got to run the ball. And I mean, now he doesn't run the ball so much, but you know. So I feel like, you know, I kept him at because like he wasn't like enjoying it. Like again, I think he was embarrassed because they made you put this, and I get it, like so the opposing coach can spot the kid, like
yeah,
you know, but like, yeah. But yeah, and I think it's just kind of embarrassing.
Oh, I just said no, I get it, but also like it's kind of gross. It sucks.
Yeah. Well, and I hate football now too. I mean, I love football. I love watching it, but like. there's just a lot of caveman coaches out there. It's like, so they make you well, I don't know about all leagues, but our league, they made you do the USA football certification, and that's like all like keeping up to date with like proper tackling form and so on and so forth. And like it's a different game. It really is. It's a different game than I grew up playing. Like, I mean, and I get it. Like, and some people don't like that, and that's cool. But it's like if the hit would be illegal at the NFL level, why are we teaching our kids? Like, it's not doing them any good for like even if you're not worried about their health, even if you're like, oh, I'm going to make, you know, a bunch of NFL players or whatever, that's not helping them. Like, that's, you know, you've got to teach them the right way, and just so many of those guys don't. Like, we played this one
That's
team.
interesting.
Four of our kids got knocked out with concussions, and I'm like, that's not an accident. You know what I'm saying? Like, one concussion, it happens. But like four, and they kept hitting high, and I'm just like, this does so. Like, youth football in general disgusts me, if we're being honest. I mean, I loved it, but like, I don't know. That's kind of, I think, why I haven't gone back to coaching. I just can't be a part of that culture until the other coaches. It doesn't matter how good you are until the other coaches change. It's going to be what it is. You can, if you're teaching your kids the right way, that's cool. But the other guy's got to teach his kids the right way too.
Right. You're going to get laid out, you know, middle of the field, kind of Ryan Clark style. And you're sitting here just doing a form tackle. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. That's bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably leagues that take it seriously, and the one I was in just didn't. And I like was complaining to the board, and it just didn't matter.
That's gross.
I mean, what's the point of getting the certification if you're not going to use the knowledge? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like you said, they're setting them up for failure. You're doing the whole, okay, let's teach you how to tackle this other way, but when you actually, if you have any aspirations of going into the pros, now you have to relearn the correct way. And it's like,
yeah, I mean,
like that seems insanely redundant.
Yeah, I mean, like I loved James Harrison, and he had a hard time adjusting, and I get it. Like, I mean, I grew up learning the same techniques that he learned, right? Like that's
right.
You did often. I mean, well, I don't know. Sometimes it looked more like he was spearing a guy with his head, so maybe I didn't quite. But you know,
I mean, fair.
You still, yeah. But I mean, you still weren't. It wasn't as like you got hit in the head, and you know, I mean, there's times I probably had concussions, right? But they're just like, oh, take a couple plays off. You got your bell wrong. All right, you know, drink some water. You're feeling better. All right, get back in there. You know, and that's just, you can't have that today.
No.
And I don't think you should have that today.
Playing nowadays, that wouldn't go well.
Yeah.
But I personally, unfortunately, from an entertainment standpoint, I missed that part. I missed that game. I miss the aggressiveness. I'm a big hockey guy too, so I miss the Scott Stevens-esque hit mid ice. You hit our star. Well, we're gonna drive your neck into the boards. You're never gonna do that again. That's out of the game, and I get it. Players' health, safety. You don't want to sacrifice a game for a career. I understand that, but I'm also like, you hit our guy though.
And I mean, how many Ryan Reeves can you employ though and still be? I don't get me wrong. I actually even like Ryan Reeves, right? But like, let's be honest, he's not on the team because of his skill, right? He's on the team because he's an enforcer. And you know, when everybody had an enforcer, like that was cool, but his teams like got away from that. Like it also didn't make competitive sense anymore. You need a skater.
Right.
Like if you can find a guy that can, it's time.
Like we're not gonna put Derek England in. He's not gonna be, getting a slapper from, the point there. He's gonna, elbow the shit out of you for reasons. So that's a good point. I miss it. I miss playing Philly and just knowing that there is like a 40% chance someone might die. And I'm fully okay. I'm fully in for it. Let's go. But I mean, obviously you're a hockey fan there because not many people are going to drop the Ryan Reeves name. So hats off to you. Thoughts on that train wreck of a team?
Oh man, I don't know, man. People are gonna because like everyone either wants to trade Malkin or Letang. And I mean, if you're judging them against like peak Malkin and peak Letang, they've certainly
You
lost
can't.
a step. You know,
Right.
like they're actually on semi-affordable contracts, at least compared to other people of their skill level. I mean,
Right.
I think the bottom six. Well, and you probably need another defenseman too, but like the bottom six, like think of 16 and 17, right? Like you had a bunch of really good guys that were young, so they were on cheap contracts, and of course they were going to move on because they weren't third liners. You know what I mean?
Right.
They belong on you know top six somewhere, and they just haven't found that again. And I think that's what they're really missing. But it certainly doesn't help that like the top two lines can't carry them anymore.
Yeah. Well, that and
I mean, well, they did sort of, but not well enough to get to the playoffs.
well, it doesn't help when you're going, 0 for 5 every night on the power play. So, good
Yeah, what
riddance
was that
there.
about? That's crazy.
Well, it's infuriating.
That
It
that really baffled me at times though, because I would watch some of the power plays and it's like it looks good, right? But then somehow they're just not scoring. Like they'd even get a couple. Well, sometimes they wouldn't get any shots or whatever, and oh, that
which
looked awful.
I
But they'd
can't
get a
even
couple good
fathom.
shots, and somehow But yeah, I don't understand.
Well, it was a lot of passing. It was a lot of let's be on Sports Center. Let's do the tic tac toe tic tac shit. Like no. You can do a tic tac, but shoot, you know it. I get it. Well, you're kind of right in front of the defender, or the defender's right kind of in front of you. Fine, I get it. But you know what? Rip it. There's 15 seconds left in a power play. Just rip it. Do something. Show something. Not saying sounds like a bad strategy, but I'm not saying you want to rip it directly at the guy, but maybe that next power play, that forward's a little less apt to want to drop down and get in front of your shot, you know? So it's almost like a bit of an equity thing, but I think just the coach, Reardon, good riddance, dude. Put him down in a pit because I feel like that directly falls on him. Whatever scheme he was running, whatever
Yeah, it wasn't
situation he
working.
thought he was doing was absolutely no
It just
bueno.
it looked like it should have been more successful than it was, though. I guess is what I'm getting at. Like I said, it didn't always look bad, but it was bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this lack of shots were the biggest thing, but
Oh, and how many empty net or not empty net, excuse me, shorthanded goals were they giving up too? That was driving me nuts too. Like, oh my god.
yeah. And I get it. Like I like the aggressiveness more often than not. If you're giving up a shorty, it's because you were aggressive. But actually, no, it was a lot of just poor passing. And the whole no look pass, the whole let's be on Sports Center. And guess what? You don't have that skill set anymore, man. You guys don't have that. Like you have to play smart. You don't have the wheels to catch up anymore. It's scary though, because it really is an end of an era. Because what do we have to supplant those top three? I, I feel like they're all generally going to go away at the same time. What?
Yep,
Drew
for sure.
O'Connor?
I mean, if not at the
Ooh.
exact same time, like just a couple years,
Like we're going to rely on Drew O'Connor? God. Like,
Oh, and then trading Gensel, that bothered me too. But
yeah, I am annoyed that they kept Rust and got rid of Gensel. It's like, that was the wrong way around. I'm not a big Rust guy.
well, also like I get that they thought they were sellers.
Hold on, you cut out there. Say it again. You hold on. Oh boy. Nope, can't hear you, bub. Live TV, folks. Oh, not live TV. You know what I mean. Nope, still muted. Let me do something here. Give me a sec. Okay. It's saying your mic isn't connected. Leave and come back in. Oh boy. So Chuck's gonna leave. I can hear you. I don't know what's going on. Someone called me and I can't get it to work again. Okay. Well. Oh, hey!
Hey, I might have figured it out. Yeah,
Right.
hold on. Let me get back my. All right. No, I can't hear you. What the hell? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're back.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll happen. That's kind of why I stopped doing it on the phone, just in case something like that happens, because it tends to throw everything into a bit of a disarray thing there. So what were you saying?
I actually completely forget.
Okay, cool, nice. No, we were talking about Depends and having to rely on Drew O'Connor for the future and how scary of a prospect that is, and then how
it's going to be like Chris Beach all over again.
Oh, dude, no, the X generation. Let's go. Oh God, the Rico Fata. Oh, bless America. I think at that point we had Wayne Primo too. Oh boy, the worst Primo of them all. Yikes. Oh man. So funny story. The infamous Keith Primo goal that happened on my birthday. So fuck you, Keith. Oh. Yep, that was a good time.
My birthday is all like baseball and NFL preseason, so
yeah.
So no hockey going on my birthday.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, it was May, so that would make that was playoffs. I think JS Alban was in goal. Or no. It was I think it was the Moose. I think it was Hedberg. I can't remember.
Yeah, me either.
I think I blocked it out of my memory here.
Well, that's like me and Sid Bream. I try not, but every year somebody like posts that, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm also like, if you think that's the smoking gun on why this team is where it is, you are a big silly pants. Yep.
I mean, I get that they're small market, and you can only spend so much money, so you're not gonna be able to be the Yankees and like outbid everybody. But like, yeah, you can spend more money than they're spending there.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what they're doing. The 97 Marlins did the same thing. They had about 4 people that actually had a name. The rest of them just had a blank jersey. And they won. And I feel like for the longest time, this team is like, we can do that. Like, you can't. It's not going to work. That's not how that works. You just can't do that. It drives me nuts. Because I want this team to be so bad. Or, well, too late. So good, so bad. I just remember Burnett, man, just that energy, just the feel around town.
Right.
That's what we want, and all they have to do is spend the money that they're making hand over fist, because that stadium is based on kids, and it's a cheap date, and everything is overly priced, and they just get money dumped into them, and it's hot and summer and bobbleheads and fireworks and kitties and all the fucking things. You're making money hand over fist, and no one is stopping you, and you're just lining your pockets, and you realize you don't need to put a team on the field. You don't, because people will still come out, because kids coming after the game, guess what they're not doing? Watching the game. They don't care. Most of them don't care. So it hurts. It hurts. It makes me sad. You just who do you go out and get? We'll end on that. Who? Name 3 players that are feasible that you would go out and get right now.
Oh man, I don't know. Like, I'll tell you, Summer would want Carlos Santana back. She loved that guy.
Okay,
but I mean, he's not really the answer, because it's not like his batting average has been great. He's head and shoulders above Rowdy though, so I mean that's definitely an upgrade.
Right, but that's like saying you're the skinniest fat kid. So it's
right.
like,
oh yeah, she loved that guy though.
Everyone tended to like him. I had no issue with him. I thought he was solid.
Yeah,
he was a
hitting some home runs, and he's hitting home runs this year too. So
yeah. I like Vogelback. I liked him a lot. I don't know why. I just liked him. This big, pudgy, no neck having guy that was just like, I hit home run. Yeah. He was like the Malkin of baseball players.
I guess if I was, so I read an article somewhere, and this is because I was bored at work, because I don't really read a lot of sports media and stuff anymore. Like, it's all like Stephen A. Smith these days. And no offense to Stephen A. Like, he seems like a cool guy. I'm not trying to like, but it's just like, that doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember who wrote it, but they were saying like one of the trade deadline targets they could have if they were trying to be ambitious was Jazz Chisholm. So like, there's a guy, like, if they were really going to do it, like, that's a guy I like. I like that guy.
I don't have a problem. I did see a big uproar about him because he threw the water and it hit the reporter, and people were up in arms, and I'm like, really? Oh, I don't want him. I don't want that character player on this team. It's like,
well,
okay.
I think this circles back to the beginning of our.
I was gonna say, it's funny how
if it was a different player,
yeah,
you think they would. I mean, I'm not saying there would be no criticism, but do you think the criticism would be the same?
Nope, not at all. I would be fine with Jazz, because not only can he is he fun, he's an energetic player, but he can play everywhere. So, I mean, middle infield, outfield, all spots. It's like, I have no problem with that. Do you mean we have a diverse player that can like fill in whenever we put our Sunday lineup every 3 days? Yeah, let's not do that, because that's one thing, and that bothers me too. Reynolds has played every single game, but you're telling me, I don't know. I just feel like what happened to that. I get, like, you can't be a catcher and doing that, because your knee is literally going to fall off your body. But I don't know. All right, so that's one. Who's number 2?
Starts. Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need a pitcher
because he's not gonna. It's not gonna happen. No one. We're not getting him.
Yeah, I feel like we need a pitcher, but who?
Dude, I'm saying get. So are we talking about bullpen or starter? I'm saying starter. Go after Crochet in the White Sox. Yeah. They will literally give him away for $12.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need some bullpen help too. Although that might sort itself out as like guys start to get healthy. So maybe we don't need as much help in the bullpen as it seems. It definitely seems like it's been one of their weaknesses the last, couple of weeks.
Which is
for sure.
crazy. You think about it, man. Like when we came into the season, you looked at that bullpen, you're like, Jesus, man, that's a problem. Like a good problem. Now it's like it's a bad problem. But it makes me think how much that has to do with being overtaxed with the bullpen games. Because you're essentially every 5 days you're using your long reliever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, and then you're having to dip in and use 4 or 5 arms that game because, he may have got shelled in the 3rd inning. Okay. I don't know. It's a bad idea. But, all right. So I know you have a life and I have to be a person here too. So, what do you do anything like so? Like, you don't do a podcast or anything like that, do you?
No, I tried to get into it, but I never had like somebody reliable enough to be a regular host. And then like life is crazy sometimes, especially. So Summer's not playing baseball anymore, so that frees up a lot of my time because it's like like April and May. It's like I'm going to watch the Pirates. I'm going to watch her. I've got my softball going on. So like sometimes like 5, 6, 7 days a week, I'm doing something. So
right
now it's down to like maybe 3 days a week. I'm doing something.
Well, I could be your Huckleberry if you'd like, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, I got your number, so we can. Yeah, text me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
especially if we can find a way to mesh like sports and history, like because that's really my wheelhouse. That's like my 2 favorite things.
Yeah. Look, I'm all about it, man. I'm that type of person. I like to be overworked. I have 3 podcasts. I'm thinking. Do you ever talk to that? His name is Taylor. He's on Twitter.
Sounds familiar. Do you know his handle? This is the problem. I know people's real names, or I know their Twitter handles.
I mean, that's fair. I'll find it. But so TBab17.
No, I don't think I follow him.
Okay.
So somebody you're recommending? I might have to.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's a good guy, real good guy. Always goes to the game, big Pirates fan, smart guy.
Well, does he like mom jokes? That's the important.
Oh, I mean, I don't feel like he's going to have any problems with it. But we're talking about starting a baseball one as well. So I currently have 3. I run 3 podcasts. So plus the 40-hour week job, kids, all that other fun shit. So I love give me more stuff to do. But where can we find you? It's weird because you don't I didn't find you on a site. Usually I do like the whole interview thing off of a site and have all these other projects and you're just like, I'm gonna bang people's moms and yeah. So tell folks where they can find you and
pretty much at _the Chuck_ on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and that's pretty much oh and Blue Sky, but I don't use that really.
What the hell's Blue Sky?
It's like so Jack Dorsey tried to like remake Twitter essentially, but he rolled it out super slow, so you needed like an invite code and everything, and I think like Threads and some of the other alternatives like left it in the dust because it was trying to, and I get what he's trying to do, like trying to introduce it slowly so that you can like fix the bugs as they pop up, but yeah,
but you got to realize
unfortunately there's just not a lot of people there, so I just don't even end up using it.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it. But yeah, people want that instant gratification. If you make me do like an extra step, nope, I'm all set. Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it looked like it was going to be good for a while, but yeah, it's just.
Well, I think the whole Threads thing tried to blow up, and that I think once Twitter changed, they did something. I don't remember, but everyone was pretty much, I'm going to take my ball and bat and go home and go to Threads, and that lasted for like a day.
Well, I mean, the Threads is okay. Don't get me wrong, but like, I feel like, so not to get super political because like no one really cares what my politics are, but like I feel like Twitter kind of made a hard right turn, if you will, and then Threads is kind of made like a hard left turn, so it's like almost the same damn place. It's just depending on which side of the aisle you'll like one over the other, and like I don't really like either one if we're being honest. Like honestly, I lean towards Twitter because I've been there forever, and that's where like most of the people that I interact with are.
Right.
But like what it's become, I'm not a particular huge fan of that, and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the polar opposite either. Like
you can't win with that stuff, man. Like it is an absolute dumpster fire. My first interaction with you, I think you were like just being an absolute dick face about Henry Davis, and I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, here's your flowers. Oof, oof. But like I remember, you said something. You were like you were comparing to like Gregory Polanco, and I'm like, look at the stats, man. I'm like, dude, this is not going well.
Me being a dick face? No, never.
No, it's fine, but it worked out great. I enjoy it. But
yeah, I wish more people did, because like I am a dick, but I'm not really like meaning to be a dick. You know what I mean? It's just like this is how I interact with people. Like if you don't talk shit to your friends, are they really your friends?
See, and that's the thing. Like I feel like a lot of people are afraid to be brash and just kind of not outlandish, but just kind of speak your mind. And if you're kind of breaking balls and then you come back in a few days, you're like, nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's fine. But on Twitter, it is like World War Z all the time. It's either left or right, black or white, pirates or not pirates, Ayuk or not Ayuk. Like that's what Twitter is now, and it is terrifying, but it's fun to watch it from like an outsider point of view to like see the car crash happening over and over and over. I stopped being in the car so I don't have to worry about dealing with that because there are crazy people there. Crazy, irrational people.
Perhaps the ironic thing is like I don't even necessarily try to argue with people. They find me.
Yes. I saw something you said today. It was like, it took you a week to respond to me. And I'm like, oh, dude, he like waited a week to come at you? Like,
God. That guy, that's an interesting guy. I'm pretty sure I know who he is in real life too, but we're not going to go there.
Really? Oh, okay.
I'm in his head so much that like he'll go like a week without responding to me. And then he'll like talk, like he likes to talk shit about certain things. Like, the one today was, again, not to get political, but because I was making fun of a political figure because she posted a picture of an AR-15.
Yeah, dude. I
that's
it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, that's bullshit. So anyway, he was like, because all these guys are like, why don't you fist fight me? And I'm like, all right, I park at Manor Garage. Why don't you like show up? Like, I'm not going to drive. One, I don't want to fist fight you, so I'm not driving out to your house to fist fight you. Two, even if I did, that's fucking stupid. Like, who's going to show up at your house? That's asking.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like. But yeah, that was his thing today was like, because I had mentioned that I own a weapon. And he was like, do you want to fist fight people in the garage or showing up strapped? No, I actually don't carry I can't take my gun into work. I'm not leaving it in my car.
It's a bit of a problem. It may have an issue with that.
I'm not leaving it in my car because, don't get me wrong. I don't think downtown Pittsburgh is the shithole that some people make it out to be. But I'm also, your car might get broken into. Mine hasn't yet. And, and I've been down there for years. But it could. Hell, I'm not leaving my gun in my car in front of my house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let alone downtown Pittsburgh. So.
Yeah, and really, what's that going to do for you anyway? You're going to get it now, buddy. You better give me a second. Let me take the elevator up and go to the parking garage. Oh, shit. Am I parking validated? God damn it. Hold on. I'll be right back. What are you doing, man?
But yeah, that was his thing today. Because and he just likes to find something to try to make fun of me. So I just make fun of him because it's like, because let's see, he went 10 days between Taunton, and then he went 7 days, but then he went 2 days in a row, and I'm just like, oh man, you're slipping.
Yeah, it's like it's a rehab thing. Jesus Christ, my God.
I don't know why these guys hate me so much, but I love it.
Well, that's the thing. It's funny how you can just live rent free in their head, and they know they're doing for those 10 days. You're like, this sucker. You wake up. swear to God. And then they're like, I gotta say something because he said a thing that I don't like that doesn't align with my agreement and things. And it's like, okay, man, settle down.
I think the funniest thing, there's a handful. Well, here's the thing. I really don't know how many of them are because I'm like 95% sure many of them are the same guy.
Yeah, these
But
big
like,
burners.
yeah, but like, it's just funny as shit because like, I don't think of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm literally like I'll interact with you, then I'm done.
Yeah.
Then I don't think about you. And then like a week later, they're like, "Hey, remember me?" Not really.
I'm like, yeah, rehash that. I don't know because you came up because I remember we had our tiff, and then whatever happened, you came up again, and I felt obligated to say, hey man, look, I was a dick, I'm pretty sure, and my apologies. I don't want to, and I would almost guarantee you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I have no idea, and that's fully okay. But not that it was like weighing on me, but saw your name and I was like, yeah, Henry Davis does fucking suck, dude. You were right. My bad. And
Yeah, no, I remember that now.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I don't even know what got me all riled up, but I guarantee you it was something that you said that was over the top that I
well,
was just like,
and
huh?
I was probably a dick because like so many other people were being like, like I'll say something that I think, and then like 9 people will be like, "Fuck you."
Right.
And then so like the 10th person's actually probably trying to be reasonable, but I'm already in like fuck you mode. So I'm
You're
like,
already
okay,
on tilt. Yep.
let's do this.
Yeah.
So, but
Because
like I promise you,
I
I
was
take none
trying
of
to
it personally. I take none of it personally.
and I think I was just saying like from a stat because I think it was like the home runs per at bat or something like that. And I looked at it and I don't know what side that it fell on, but I'm like, they're sort of kind of close, but not really. And then Henry Davis realized he's like, I'm not about this hit in life. I like AAA though.
Oh, I wanted
Nice.
him. We went to his debut last year, and I wanted him to be
Yeah.
good so bad. And I mean, he was okay for a while.
I think it's his stance, man. He sits like his stance is like old school Brady Anderson. If you remember kind of how that guy would like sit in the box.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a very untalented Jeff Bagwell stance. It's like, what do you do? Like, stand the fuck up, dude. Like, stand up and get closer to the plate because literally all I would do is throw a slider every single time for you because you can't, your little hobbit arms can't reach out there. Plus, you're like 3 feet away from home plate in the first place. So, what are you doing, friend? Stop standing like a. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing, but stop.
I don't think they did him. I mean, this isn't necessarily batting, but I don't think they did him any favors playing him in right field so much either. Like,
But what do you do with him though? So when Endy comes back, Endy has a job.
well, if he improves, like what I had envisioned, and I might have read this somewhere, so this might not even be an original thought. I'm not trying to claim it as an original thought if it's not, but I was like, if he could be the catcher and Endy could be the first baseman, that'd be great.
Ooh, don't get me erect there, sir. Don't promise me things.
So that's what I had envisioned when I thought they were both going to be something. So hopefully they work it out, and that's what it is. But
I mean, I would even be okay if they just re-signed Bart. I think Bart is serviceable.
I like
Have
Bart.
Bart be the catcher. You're talking about a diamond in the rough. You lucked into that fella. And do Endy at first. Here we go. Perfect.
I was there at the game when he hit his home run in his first major league at bat.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah,
I don't know, but I like him.
yeah, Joey Bart, man. That was exciting.
First at bat with the Pirates.
Yeah,
major league, but yeah, it's first.
Yeah. But I'm just like, yes, oh my god. And he just came in like a ball of fire, and then he kind of cooled down a little bit, but he is still miles ahead any other catcher. I mean, Jason Delayed before the game today was hitting .83. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you're going to hit like that, like be Hedges at least. Like you have to be like a defensive like master.
Too many players on our team are literally their batting averages are less than their weight. Go to sleep and think of that. That's a terrible thing. Like, and I get it. Hitting a baseball is not easy, but dude, if everyone else sucked that bad at their job, they'd be fired. Like that's how that works. That's how life works.
Well, my thing about Hedges last year, like it bothered me that people were booing him, and it's not like I get it. He's not a good bat, but it's like
right. But he's not here for that.
He can get away with that if you had other batters. You know what I'm saying? That the problem isn't really him. Like there's obviously a market for his skill set.
Yeah,
it's not it's not for batting, but he's got to be on the right team. He can't be on the Pirates where like nobody's really a great batter.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a great point because that is a tough. You felt. I mean, I fully advocate for booing Rowdy, 1,000,000,000%. Fuck that guy. But yeah, the Hedges thing was a little weird. It's like you weren't getting Johnny Bench, man. Like you were getting a defensive-minded catcher that was going to hit for very low average, maybe crack a few out of the park, but generally you're not getting Pudge there, man. Like that's not how that works. But he'll throw out base runners, which our guys can't do. If I was any opposition team, I would run every time. Like there's no reason not to.
And he could buy you a couple strikes because he was excellent at framing pitch. So it would be a little bit outside, and he could buy you a couple strikes a game at least.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. All right. Well, I swear to God, we're gonna leave on this one. You were just such a goddamn joy to talk to that I keep like, oh, I have an idea. So we're probably gonna do a part 2 at some point. So
sounds good.
Plus we have that other thing we're gonna talk about. Last thing, robo umps, like the whole robo strike zone. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I could make a good argument either way. I think I kind of like human umps. Like, yeah, I complain about them because every now and then they do get something just egregiously wrong. But I mean, I think there's the human element is part of the game. Like a lot of people get really pissed when it's like a borderline pitch and they call it the wrong way. And it's like, no, I can kind of see that. Like, yeah, I 100% think that was a strike, but I know why I called it a ball because it's like borderline. Like that's
right.
It's like I'm actually kind of okay with that, and most of the umps, save maybe Angel Hernandez, who recently retired, are generally pretty good at their jobs. And they don't blow a whole lot of obvious, but it happens. But again, I think I lean more towards human umps. But I mean, I also, again, I could make a great argument. Like if you could get the ball and strikes right every single time like that, I don't know. I mean, you could argue that would improve the game, and it probably would.
I used to be on your side of the fence before this year, and I really, really started paying attention to the calls. And like, for example, today's call with Reynolds striking out, looking on that kind of two-seamer that was running away from him on the low outside corner. That was a strike, but strike one was about 6-7 inches above the strike zone, and it was a called strike. And I get where he's coming from because if this is a strike here, but then you're saying below or like right at my knee, like right at the tail end of the strike zone, that's a strike too. You kind of can't have a zone that big. So I get his frustration, but I used to be on your team there. I want this to be a uniform strike zone. I understand the human element. That was fun. That was great. Yada, yada, yada. But just so many mistakes I see. And some of them go our way. Some of them don't go our way. I get it. But I just want it to be good. Like, I don't want that to have to be a part of the game that you have to be, not that you're concerned about it, but you know what I mean? Like, it just.
I think officiating in general, like across all sports, like consistency is the issue. Like,
yes,
I would say that, like the biggest thing in football, I think most crews are generally consistent amongst themselves. But like, what you can get away with one week with, crew A, well, crew B might be completely different. And I do think there needs to be a little more uniformity. So like, I agree with that. And I think that's why, like, I mean, I'm not going to, if they decided they were going to do robo umps tomorrow, right? I'm not going to like jump up and protest and be like, but what about,
right?
Like I said, I just think I lean that way and it's probably because I'm an older guy these days, and
I get it.
I mean,
But,
you're not
I mean, what
that
about-
much
what
younger
about
than me, but I mean, I've been around a little bit longer than you. So, like,
Yeah.
I think I'm just, an old man yelling at a cloud.
I get it though, man. I look, I'm very much that age where I'm like, get off my lawn, goddammit. I swear on everything that's holy. I'm older than I am. Why don't they do this though? And this is something that just popped in my head. Why don't they just have, instead of a rotating crew, right? They have 30 or I guess 15 or whatever they got to do. I don't know. Whatever, fine. Instead of game 1, the third base coach is the third base coach, and game 2, he's now the crew chief and calling balls and strikes, and then game 3, he's first base coach or first base whatever. Why don't they just have them stay in their lane? Like Jerry Meals, you were from now on the whatever that the head ball and strike ump. And that's
Right.
all you do. You go to town, whatever they do with that, fine. But it just seems like that adds even more variables, which I get it is the human element, but and I understand as a hitter, you kind of have to learn the tendencies, but why have to do that when you can just learn the pitcher's tendencies? And I don't know. I don't know. It seems like that should be, you should be a product matter expert, a
Yeah.
subject matter expert, I should say,
Agreed. And I mean, I guess, let's be honest. Like, I want to be an attorney, and that's how attorneys are. Like, if you're a criminal defense attorney, you're a criminal defense attorney. You don't do a lot of like property law. You know what I'm saying? You might
Right.
have a general knowledge of property law, but that's not like what you do.
Right.
So like I agree with you. I would say if I'm playing devil's advocate and trying to look at it from their perspective, they're probably like, well, what happens if Jerry Mills is sick? Somebody needs to be trained to do his job on the crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're probably thinking of it as like a training.
I mean,
I'm not saying that's a great answer.
No,
but that's probably what they're doing.
It's a good idea. I mean, I would say maybe at that point they have a potential. Oh no, I don't. Oh fuck. That's a good point. Then there you go. Go to robots. Robots don't get sick, except that the Wi-Fi goes down. Then everything is. Ooh,
I'm sure there'll be something. I'm sure there'll be something we hate about that though, because it's just always going to be that way.
Yeah, Christ, we can never be happy.
I think it would be. It would probably be positive, but
how's it going in the minors? Like they've done that in the minors. How is that? Because I know they have that challenge system down there for that too. But what's the word on that?
You know what? I don't really know. That's something I should look into.
Fair.
But I mean, it's a robot. It's going to, the flaw, again, the human element is going to be the flaw in anything, right? Like the flaw is going to be like if you set my strike zone a little bit wrong. And now, like, it's like my chin instead of like my armpits or whatever. Like that's going to, the robot's going to get it right based on the parameters you fed it, but you fed it the wrong parameters. Although that's probably harder to get wrong than actually.
Yeah, they're probably going to have some kind of sensor in there that, they'll probably have a little, like on your uniform, there'll be some kind of internal sensor somewhere that is able to like, okay, here's where your titty is and here's where your knees are. And there we go. We're good.
And then the Houston Astros will figure out a way to bang on trash cans and manipulate that.
There you go. There you go. Just jam the Wi-Fi signal. Like, there is no strike zone anymore. Oh, okay. There you go. Fair enough. All right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time out here. I didn't mean to take up an hour and a half of your time, but also
it's all good. I had fun.
Yeah, so did I. And we're going to talk about maybe doing something. Well, definitely a part 2, but maybe doing something more in the future.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like, I don't know. I dig it, but thank you so much. I'll actually have this up here today, so I'll send it to you.
Right,
it's live,
good.
actually. It's going to be, it's going straight to all the places. So, share it as much as you want. Don't share it. I don't care. I do care. Don't hurt me. But yeah, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
You might get a lot of hate views. So I mean,
look,
you have that going for you.
Views are fine. They're still in the numbers. It's fine. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. You have a good one.
Hey, buddy. You too. Thank you.
All right.
Right. Bye.